meeting to order with the invocation and pledge by Travis Reeder.
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for allowing us to be here this evening. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for allowing us to make decisions for this county that we feel most appropriate. Dear Heavenly Father, guide those individuals who have been stricken with this disease of COVID-19. Guide their families, protect them, and bring them back to where they can do their normal things. These blessings we ask in your holy name. Amen. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank all of you for being here tonight for the special call meeting. Item number one, any additions or deletions? Hearing none, do I have a motion we adopt the agenda as presented? Motion by Mr. Scurry, second by Dr. Rucker. Any discussion? All in favor? It is unanimous. All right, Mr. Adams, I'm going to let you do the explanation of the parliamentary considerations and related considerations.
Okay, first, just some basic matters here. This rezoning involves 9 contiguous parcels that are located on Lake Murray and bounded by Holland's Landing Road, Granny Hill Road, Circle H Woods Road, and Peninsula Drive. Currently, these parcels are zoned variously as general commercial, limited commercial, R2 rural, or single-family residential. The applicant's request is to rezone all 9 properties to single-family RSM residential. What is RSM residential? The property to be rezoned does adjoin other property with the same designation, meaning that spot zoning is not a concern. While listing what is and is not allowed in RSM is an exhaustive process, the chief attraction of this designation to the applicant is that it allows for residential lots as small as 7,500 square feet, provided that the development meets all conditions for cluster homes. These conditions are listed in Newberry County zoning ordinance. It is the zoning administrator who makes the determination as to whether the development meets those conditions. Of concern to some neighboring property owners is the fact that RSM allows for manufactured homes, though the applicant has expressed intent to place covenants on the property that would prohibit the placement of manufactured homes within the development. Next, what happens after third reading tonight? If third reading fails, then the application for rezoning is denied. If third reading is approved, further consideration and approvals of the development are determined by planning staff and the Newberry County Planning Commission. Council is not further involved. There are no public hearings during future phases of the application and the approval process. Broadly speaking, the approval process consists of 3 steps: a sketch plan, a preliminary approval plan, and a final approval plan. Staff would make the determination as to whether the cluster homes are allowed in conjunction with the sketch plan step, which is the first. That determination would be made based on specific requirements set forth in the zoning ordinance. While all required Planning Commission approvals will take place in public, parties other than staff, the developer, and the agents of each will not be involved in the approvals or processes related to the developer's application. In sum, the remaining part of the process is not a community effort. Staff will recommend strongly against any efforts to oppose the development or make it unnecessarily more expensive or time-consuming through the enactment of new ordinances that are merely dilatory or obstructive in nature. Likewise, we will certainly take notice of any reports that our ordinances are being violated at any time during implementation of the development. We will not be actively involved in fishing for regulatory interpretations aimed at stopping the proposed development or putting up roadblocks to its completion. Now, Mr. Chairman, a few parliamentary considerations. We have 9 ordinances. They are agenda items 2 through 10. The applicants are agreeable that these be all considered together rather than having 9 separate public hearings and 9 separate votes. And the rationale for this method is somewhat compelling. If considered individually, Each ordinance would rezone one from a group of 9 parcels to the same designation, which is RSM single family. So there's no difference there. And through the previous 2 readings, no one has raised a point suggesting that any of these parcels is in any way distinct from the others in terms of the rezoning. Moreover, these 9 ordinances were considered under a single motion at both first and second readings. The first motion I would suggest to council is merely a procedural motion. That one move that the readings and public hearings for agenda items 2 through 10 be combined. This vote does not rezone the parcels. It merely governs the methods by which the rezoning request will be considered as the meeting unfolds. So, Mr. Chairman, the question, is there a motion that the readings and public hearings for agenda items 2 through 10 be combined?
All right, do we have a motion for items 2 through 10 to be combined? Motion by Mr. Reader, second by Dr. Rucker. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
It is unanimous.
All right. Thank you,
Mr. Chairman, for the public hearing, before considering the motion on whether to actually rezone the parcels, it is suggested that council entertain all public comments, whether offered in person or in writing. The county administrator will read aloud all written comments once the last speaker to comment in person has finished. Social distancing will be enforced within the chambers among a limited number of attendees and also among those standing in line to speak. Speakers are asked to limit their comments to 3 minutes. Mr. Chairman, once the comments have been exhausted, both from those who are present here this evening and those provided in writing, then we will suggest for council a motion on whether to consider approval to rezone all of these 9 parcels to RSM. But with that said, Mr. Chairman, it would be in order for the public hearing to begin with the first speaker.
All right. Do we have a motion for the public hearing to begin? Second. A motion by Mr. Reader, second by Mr. King. All in favor? All right, this is the public hearing. At this time, I know first person on our list is Mr. Terry Cotney, 3 minutes.
Thank you. I go to the front here that it's been very convenient for the county to downsize so you wouldn't have much participation from the county. My name is Terry Cotney. Thank you, Andrew, for your front page coverage a couple of weeks ago. Our veterans. I own a small farm. My family has owned this farm, land for 80 years. It was 6 houses on this land when I was born. I moved into this community, and I've seen tremendous growth. I own about 25 acres on Holland's Landing Road, Circle H Woods. Having volunteered to serve my country during the Vietnam War, as a proud veteran, I thank you for the opportunity to exhibit my freedom of speech with your generous 3 minutes. Remember this also, I will continue to exhibit my freedom of expression. I know it may be a waste of my time to stand before you because it's a done deal, but I'm going to stand before you and state my opinion. The bottom line here is the county administrators are only interested in tax revenues, regardless of what any resident has to say. Money, money, money. Also a slick bailout for this failed septic system, no offense, Brent, that hasn't been corrected by the county in about 20 years, leaking all these years that you heard. It's strange that the last meeting, the tourism lady, or whatever her name was allowed about 15 minutes to present the pro side or county council side of this development. None of the local property owners seem to be smitten by her presentation. Very importantly here, please note that she did not mention one time, nor did any council member or the developer or the pro-cluster home representative mention that this was going to be a beautiful or attractive thing to look at in our county. Has the slogan, keep Newberry County clean, green, and beautiful, changed to send your county your clean, green taxes and look at this beautiful cluster of homes? No one is fooled why the council is wanting this eyesore built. Indeed, it will be an eyesore as time goes on. We may also note that not one council member has asked these developers to come to their neighborhood to build these beautiful cluster homes near them. Has any one of you invited them to come to your home? Here's your opportunity to invite them to come build a cluster home in your community and be a boondoggle. No, not one of you have. I didn't see anyone shaking their head. The surveying's been done. Thousands and thousands of dollars. They've been there for months surveying, lots of money. You think they're going to survey this land if they didn't already have the nod from county council? It's a done deal. It's been a done deal. We have no voice. In Holland's Landing area, many houses are crammed together and they're an eyesore, and others are nice. Growth happens and it's understandable. About 30 years ago, bulldozers came below my home and cut Plantation Point roads, and I said, there goes our neighborhood. Nice country serenity. It turned out fine with beautiful homes and small lots. Developers promised these new buyers clubhouses, tennis courts, and of course the 18-hole beautiful golf course to be built on these 200 acres that you're talking about now. After a few years of selling lots, the Point's landowners were shysted by 3 slick partners, not to mention any names. Some of you know them. They grabbed the money and ran. Plantation Point got stuck. They're going to get stuck again with all this traffic. 200 homes, whatever, you're going to see 400, 600 more cars in the community. You'll get stuck in the traffic. The Chapin development, I drove into a cluster home development a couple of months ago. Children were playing in the streets, cars were in the streets. All the houses had fences up, different colored fences. They want their privacy. Good luck to this beautiful cluster home. To the Plantation Point homeowners, I'm proud to be a neighbor of yours and have no complaint about your beautiful homes and development.
Time's up, Mr. Cotney. Thank you.
I read this earlier, and I just spent 3 minutes. I've got one more statement. I appreciate my freedom of speech. I've been curtailed here 3 different times.
All right, you're wasting your time.
I'm about finished. Thank you very much. These cluster homes will be a nuisance, and the beauty and serenity we have known in the past will no longer be. We, the people, have spoken clearly on all sides of this development. We kindly ask you to not approve this project, ugly project, and nightmare that it will cause. Council members, may I remind you, you were voted to represent all the people, not just your community. Put a cluster home in front of your community. Remember, no one in here said these cluster homes are attractive or beautiful, and remember, my little farm across the street development will
Mr.
not
Cotney,
build.
that's more than one statement. Mr. Bailey, it's your turn. Ron Bailey.
Freedom of speech and expression.
Ron Bailey.
Are we able to interact? Are we able to interact? I'd just like, Mr. Cotney, you made a comment that the council has approved this already. I can tell you for sure, I can't speak for these folks, but as a process and as far as I'm concerned, I have not approved this already, so I don't know what they're doing, but they haven't done it with this councilman's approval.
Thank you, sir. It's very clear.
Mr. Bailey.
Yeah, my opening statement, just to introduce myself, I live in the Points. I speak as a homeowner of the Points, but not for all the homeowners of the Points. There have been individuals that have come before me and may come after me that say that they represent the Points. They do not. There has not been a petition. There's not been any type of document submitted, nor any type of review taken to see what the majority of the people in the Points, how they view this development. The things that I would like to bring out, and thank you for the presenter prior to me. I agree with a lot of the points that he's brought forth, so I will not be redundant. However, one thing that I will say is that I do believe in progress. I do believe in developments. I do believe in furthering a community and increasing the tax revenue so that we can improve our schools, our roads, everything that we enjoy as human beings, and particularly as residents of Newberry County. However, when you do something like this, and the sole responsibility or responsibilities of this committee or council is to look after the health and well-being of the citizens of Newberry County and to look after the property values of the Newberry County. With that comes into the question of these cluster homes. I've got to believe that when you look at an average value, and I'm guesstimating of what the points would be, the average value of our home has to be in excess of $500,000 and up. When you look at a cluster home that comes in at $250,000 retail selling price, you can run the numbers and I can immediately say that it's going to depreciate and pull our values down. The last time I stood in front of this committee was on a different issue and I failed miserably. And I felt the same as this man did. When I stepped up to this podium, the decision was made. And I was met with, and I'm going to have to back off a little bit because I'm going to leave you with a very bad taste, but I was left with what I felt was injustice and bias. Lady Justice has a blindfold on, and she has it for a reason. It's not because of a developer that comes in with a large purse. It comes because you are doing the thing for the right reason. The prayer that you made at the beginning of this meeting should be followed to the T. I don't question you on your belief. I question you on the ability to make a decision with a blindfold on for the betterment of the community, not swayed by money. I believe that the best thing to do is, with Newberry County, is certainly to continue with development, but not at the cost of the existing homeowners in the community. There's two, in my mind, there are two major facts, two major issues here. One being of the septic system, which has been an ongoing problem and has been dumping waste into the lake for a number of years. And Bob, my neighbor, will address that in detail. In fact, that has to be addressed by adding any development, whether it's a development with the average selling price would be $500,000 or up, will only compound that issue. Please don't take this as a threat, but I believe it's your responsibility to make sure that the health and well-being of our community is upheld.
Mr. Bailey, your time is up.
My time is up. I'll leave it with this closing statement, which, please, it's not a threat, but I assure you that the issue with the septic system will be made public knowledge. We have the cure for these masks and COVID. It's
Ms.
called
Patricia
protest.
Bailey, next.
And that will happen.
Patricia Bailey?
Yes, I yield my time to Mr. Jarmer.
Okay.
3 minutes to him.
Sharon Law?
I'm going to do the same, yield my time to Mr. Jarmer. 3 minutes. Thank you.
Mike Tom?
Yes.
First thing I'd like to do is thank the county council and neighbors for letting me speak here. Thank you so much. The first thing I'd like to address is the issues bringing an urban cluster development to our community. I sent most of you a pamphlet sheet you should have gotten in the mail. It had lots of, I'm an engineer by trade, and you should have gotten a bunch of facts and figures. The most important fact is Dr. Chappell, a PhD hydrologist, who clearly states that urban development will cause sediment, which will run into the lake, and so it's a danger to the water quality of the lake. That is a fact, that's a figure. Also, I'd like to point out in the pamphlet was a picture of an eagle. That eagle was taken in the cove, and I could supply metadata if you find that necessary. In addition to that, our water system and our sewer system is dysfunctional. Everybody knows that. It's been proven. And by adding this cluster development, it's going to do nothing, and it's a fact in here, and it's done by several different organizations, Clemson, EPA, and a few other organizations, that the water will be more expensive to filter. Our residents right now can't afford any more water. And a case study of that is Lake Norman in Charlotte, where water rates, the residents just can't afford it. It's going over what they can afford. And we can't afford to have that in Newberry County. We need to look out for those who are low income, and this will just drive things over the edge. And the other thing is the sediment that runs into water, it will cause toxic algae blooms. And this has happened in Lake Altoona in Georgia. It's a fact that was also included in the pamphlets. The other issues are infrastructure, sewer and water, roads, fire and EMS that are not equipped to handle cluster developments. The other issue is that we do not believe that this was not spot zone. If you clearly look over there, everything else around it is single-family zone. Now, they're telling us it's not spot zone. Well, I don't believe it. I don't think anybody in this room believes it. And the part about our house values will go down. My property is 6.91 acres right across. 300 feet away, I'm going to be looking at RSM. That is just unfair. That was RS when I moved there, and it should remain RS.
10 seconds. 10 seconds.
10 seconds. In closing, thank you again for letting me speak. Please make the right decision for Newberry County and our future generations. Thank you.
Thank you. Cheryl Jarmer. Cheryl Jarmer.
I yield my time to Bob Jarmer.
Bob Jarmer. All right. That means you got 12 minutes.
You can give him 15. I'm married, guys. I'm handing over my 3 minutes to Bob.
guys, I'll hand mine too. You won't take that long.
They all want me to talk. They want you to know what I have here.
It's,
I live on Holland's Landing Road. Can y'all hear me okay? I live on Holland's Landing Road, right across from where all this is going to happen. I'll be right a little in my front yard. Hello? Not to be smart, but you know, they say you can put a lipstick on a pig, but it's still a pig. You can dress it up any way you want. It's still a pig. Anybody in this room can go on DHEC website, DHEC, Department of Health and Environmental Controls. Anybody can do that. Every sewer spill reported by Newberry County Water and Sewer is on this website. Anybody can look at it. Same thing applies to Newberry City. There's a lot of information in there, which I'm going to go through. First, you all heard that all these sewage overflows are caused by rain. Too much rain, right? Everybody's heard it. It's a lie. It's a flat-out lie. And that lie has been repeated so many times by so many people that it's become believed. This is a flat-out lie. Every statement, everything I'm getting ready to show you comes from DHEC's website, okay? This is not my opinion. These are facts. They are verifiable facts that anybody can look up. First one, water and sewer overflows, okay? I'll just read you the very first line. And Brent, Daniel, no offense, okay? This is not personal, because you're going to take a beating here. Very first line from DHEC. Sewer systems are meant to collect and transport all of the sewage that flows into them to a water treatment facility, sewage treatment facility, I'm sorry. All sewage. It doesn't say most of the sewage, all sewage. Then they go on to list possible causes of overflows, obvious blockages, construction, pipe failures, blah-de-blah-de-blah. Anybody can understand that. But the one I like even better is from the EPA. And again, it's all verifiable, folks, all of it. See, they explain it all a little more detail. And I'll read it word for word for you. Sanitary sewer systems, and Brent will verify, that's what we're dealing with here. That's what we have, a sanitary sewer system. Collect and transport domestic, commercial, and industrial wastewater and limited amounts of stormwater and infiltrated groundwater to a treatment facility for appropriate treatment. Limited amounts. They go on. Sanitary sewers are different than combined sewers. Two different sewer systems. Combined sewers are designed to collect large volumes of stormwater runoff and or infiltrated groundwater. This is considered a combined sewer system. They're designed to take in large volumes of stormwater, where a sanitary system, like Brent will tell you is accurate, we have a sanitary sewer system. If you're spilling it on the ground, it's not sanitary anymore. The problem is we've got too much rainflow going into a sanitary sewage system, which means it's defective. And it's been defective for many, many years. We've been putting up with this for 15 years down here. We've heard every promise you could possibly think of. 15 years. They go on, the same document, EPA. And I thought I was crazy because I was the only one to believe this, but here it is in black and white. They go on to talk about possible causes of sewer overflows. And I'll read it to you word for word. Sewer defects that allow stormwater and groundwater to overload the system. These are facts, not my opinion. These are EPA and DHEC facts. Now, again, DHEC's website, here's a spill that was reported by our friends here. Again, no offense, please. These are reports filed by these two gentlemen here, I don't know which, to DHEC. Again, anybody can look them up. They're there for anybody to see. I'm going to read you one of them. What do you know? February the 6th, the very day after our first meeting. You were all shown pictures of sewage overflow. Those two overflows were back in December. So look, we're looking at 3 overflows in 2 months. Happens all the time. The cause of the overflow? Surge of inflow due to heavy rain. This is their report. From the pump station, 27,000 gallons of sewage run across the ground and into your lake. See, you all have a problem here. You don't know it yet. You got a problem. 27,000 gallons of sewage. Down the bottom of this report, there's 2 questions. I call them corrective action. If you know anything about quality control, there's a thing called corrective action. Here's the first question. Action taken by entity to minimize impact from the discharge. Not a difficult question. Want to know what the answer was? Pump station is operating properly. Remote monitoring is operating properly. Pumps caught up as rain subsided. Really? 27,000 gallons of sewage thrown across the ground, and the guy gets there and says, everything's working properly? Are we stupid or what? I don't mean it to be insulting. I just get upset when I read this stuff. Here's the next one. February the 20th, 2 weeks later. 2 weeks. 20,000 gallons of sewage. 2 weeks later. Action taken by entity to minimize the impact of the discharge? Answer. Pump station operating properly, remote monitoring operating properly, pumps caught up as rain subsided. They're not answering the question here, folks. These are corrective action questions with a 6th grader answer. I did a comparison. Again, DHEC. It's all there. You can all verify everything I'm telling you. This is not my information. I'm just repeating it. I did a comparison. The city of Newberry on sewer spills and the county of Newberry. Did a side-by-side comparison. You can go online and look it up yourself. The city of Newberry has reported in the past 3 years 9,000 gallons of sewage spill over a 3-year period. The county, over 1.8 years, has reported 729,000 gallons of sewage spill. This should make you sick. And I'm sorry, it upsets me. I live with this mess. I've got sewage overflows on both sides of my home down here. Now, if you take that 729,000 gallons of sewage and you project it out over 3 years like we did with the city of Newberry, they actually reported 3 years worth. Okay, so let's look at the county, 3 years worth. You're looking at 1.25 million gallons of sewage over a 3-year period in my neighborhood. I found this online. Anybody ever heard of Congaree Riverkeeper. Okay? This report was put out in 2018. It's titled Top SSO Volumes from Around the State, the entire state. There's 15 people, 15 entities on this list, from the worst to number 15. Number 15 comes in Swansea. The town of Swansea reported 88,000 gallons of sewer spill in a year, in 2018. So I went on the DHEC's website and looked up Swansea, which you all can do. And I wanted to see how much they reported in 2020. 0. And it repeats itself 14 times. The very worst offender, Dorchester County, #1 offender in the entire state. Okay? 3 million gallons of sewage in 1 year. So I looked them up, again, through DHEC. In 2020, they've released 9,000 gallons of sewage. It's a hell of an improvement over a 2-year period. And you see this repeat on every one of these 15, what they call top offenders. Every one of them improved. Every single one of them in 2 years. Dramatically improved. 3 million gallons down to 9,000. Except one entity. Our very own Newberry County Water and Sewer is the only one that did not improve. In fact, they got worse. They made number 7 on the list in that year. Number 7 offender in the entire state. They reported 320,000 gallons in 2 spills, which I seriously doubt only 2 spills. I seriously doubt that. Anyway, 320,000 gallons in 2018. Today, they've already reported 5 spills and 375,000 gallons. I can go out of my car right now, drag my laptop in there and hook it up to your projector, and I can show you video after video. I'm the guy that sent them to you through the email. That's me. Now you can put a face to those emails that you got with sewage overflow. Okay? I did that. My computer's in the car, I can drag it in here. I got dozens of them, dozens and dozens and dozens. This is disgusting. And excuse me if I seem like I'm getting a little bit upset. I apologize for that. But it does. This is a website from Newberry County Water and Sewer. Their website. They have 500 sewer customers. Now stop and think about that for a minute. 500 sewer customers. That's nothing. And they have 40 lift stations. This is from their website. They won't deny it. You do the math, that's 12 and a half homes per lift station. Minuscule. And we're having these kind of overflows. Something's wrong. Y'all have a problem. Okay, you got a serious problem on your hands. I don't think anybody's ever told you this before. You don't know this. Everybody's heard of sewage overflows. Nobody knows how bad it is. Let me ask you a question. They've got 500 customers. What happens when it goes to 5,000? Who's going to clean this mess up with 5,000 homes? What we already have, here's the killer. The very lift station that we're having all this trouble with, there's 150 homes at Plantation Point. All that sewage comes to this lift station. Okay? Now, you want to put another 160 homes directly across the street. And they'll tell you that they're going to upgrade the sewage system. No, they're not. All they're going to do is come up with a way to pump her from that side of the road to this lift station.
1 minute.
Now you've got 300 homes feeding sewage into one position, the one that we're constantly overflowing already. Does this make sense to anybody?
No.
This is ludicrous.
Yes.
You're only going to make matters worse. And these are not my opinion. Like I said, all verifiable facts. I love math. You're a teacher. Don't you like math?
I do.
I love math. You also. Before I forget, I meant to do this in the beginning because I am finished. There are some people on this committee, Mr. Kuhn, Mr. King. I feel honored to stand in your presence. Mr. Rudder and Mr. Scurry. Either military service or law enforcement. Thank you.
Thank you. Robert Enos.
Ladies and gentlemen of the council, thank you for letting me present tonight. I've been here for...
Can't hear you, sir.
I've been here for about 8 months, a new resident to Plantation Point. I'm also a member of the board. I am not here on behalf of the board. I'm speaking as a private citizen. I've listened to, I guess, 4 meetings now. And I'd like to just express some concerns. I too feel that it probably is already a done deal. But I wish to express the concerns of myself, family, and a number of our Plantation Point neighbors prior to your vote on this request, rezoning request. While we believe that the rezoning the property from commercial and limited commercial zoning to RSM to be a positive move, we are concerned that the proposed zoning is intended to allow cluster housing on small lots. We would much prefer residential properties, but of a larger nature, to a commercial business. We believe that jamming over 140 small homes together on a very limited waterfront will cause a number of other issues. Among these will be the following: limited egress. The proposed single entrance exit location, which we don't know where it's going to be yet, will force significant traffic onto our local roads. We would ask that the developer add another entrance exit and on a different road other than Circle H. One access road will concentrate traffic and potentially hinder emergency vehicles entering the property. Traffic delays will occur at peak travel times without a traffic light, a second location, and the dilution offered by multiple access points. We're concerned about additional heavy demand, and the last couple of speakers hit on this, on an already weak infrastructure. Circle H, Holland's Landing, and Granny Hill roads are in extremely poor condition and will suffer further with the additional demands of heavy construction equipment and 250+ vehicles per day traveling in and out of this new development. We acknowledge that these are state and county roads, and we're chronically disappointed at the low-quality repairs being done to them. Potholes are not being fixed properly, roads are badly cracked, extremely uneven, and they are fixed with very limited cold patches. These roads need serious rebuilding, and we would request the council help secure proper replacement before this additional traffic begins to hit them and erode them further. We've already beat the water sewer lines to death. I'll skip through that, but we certainly would want to see these deficiencies in the septic systems fixed before this community comes online. And I've been on a number of different boards in other locations, in other areas of South Carolina, my last one being Clover, up near Fort Mill. We went through this for about 15 years. They finally came in. They spent something like $750,000, and it didn't even bring it up to the point where it was covering the current demands. I don't want to see that here. If we're going to go through and allow this cluster community to come into place, we need to get those septic systems, the sewer systems, up to snuff, not only to cover the current demands on them, but additional demands for the next 10, 15 years, okay? I would ask that we be forward-thinking on that. Another issue that we're concerned about, the developers promised on one of the last meetings that they're going to market the cluster homes as single-family second homes to owners living several hours from prosperity. We're concerned that many owners may balk at the $300,000 to $400,000 price targets that I believe that I'd heard, I think, in the second meeting, and will probably have limited usage due to the travel distances. If you're going to be 2 to 3 hours away, I don't know that you're going to be here every single weekend.
15 seconds.
Okay. So we're very concerned that they might want to try and convert them over to rental properties. And I understand that there have been discussions about deeding them against mobile homes and against rental properties. I question whether that will apply to a new HOA over there, as to whether they'll be able to turn around and allow those to happen. We would have no control whatsoever over rental properties, and we've all seen rental properties come in, they go downhill.
All right,
You
thank
have no
you.
control over what's going on. So
All right.
those are some of our concerns. We appreciate your review of this, and we would hope that you think long-term for all of us. Thank you.
Mr. Harold Betty.
My name is Harold Betty. I'm the chairman of the Points Homeowners Association, and I am speaking on behalf of the Points Homeowners Association today.
Please let him have the podium.
Speaking on behalf of the board. The board of the Points has come to the conclusion that it's in the best interest of the community that American Land Holdings' request to rezone the property should be approved. This action will remove the commercial, limited commercial, and rural zoning that now exist on the property. There are members in our community who do not agree with this decision, like Mr. Bailey. Some of their concerns are as follows. Deed restrictions against mobile and manufactured homes. Our members are concerned that this will not be properly done in the closing documents and that it may not be permanent, I'm sorry. We have been advised that the county administrator and the county attorney will oversee that this is done properly. Roads and traffic. Most of the roads around the development are in bad shape and need to be upgraded. Since these roads are state roads, the board, along with the developer, will need to work with the state and the state representative to take action on this. Water and sewer. It is our understanding that the Newberry Water and Sewer Department is in the process of correcting deficiencies with the sewer system. The board will continue to monitor progress on this matter. Boat traffic. The Department of Natural Resources is responsible for this area. The board will work with this department to try to minimize boat traffic issues. Short-term rentals in the new development. Our residents have a concern that homes in the new development will turn into short-term rentals. The Points has a covenant restriction to prevent this. We'll be asking the developer to put a similar covenant restriction in their development to prevent short-term rentals. Our board is committed to being proactive to ensure the proceeding and other issues are addressed properly as a development goes forward. And also apologize at first saying that I represent the views of the entire homeowners association. I represent the views of the Plantation Point Board. Thank you very much.
Donald Deals.
Thank you for everybody's participation. Hope y'all can hear me clear. I'm proud to stand here as a Newberry County resident. I've been here 20 years. When I first got here, I really fell in love with this place. I was fortunate enough, me and my wife, we came in and saw something we'd never seen before. We saw a vending machine that sold worms. I said, this is the place for us. It is a quiet, rural residential. Unfortunately, what you're proposing is trying to change that. Traffic can be a problem as it is now. And we all know how much we love the DOT and our roads. If you love our roads and think they are perfect, I'm sure you're in the minority. But if you think we got problems, raise your hands. You know, you're talking about Holland's Landing Road. It's like trying to go down a minefield. You're talking about Macedonia Church Road, right there at the corner of Granny Hill and Macedonia Church Road. There's 5 or 6 or 8 or 10 potholes there at any given day. And it's just like trying to maneuver on a minefield and you're being targeted. I was on the way down Drew Island Road, just an example of what potholes can do is I have a nice truck. I have a 22-inch size wheels on my truck, and I heard a wham! And the next morning, when I got up on the way to see my sister's house for Thanksgiving Day, I was pulling out of Sexton Road close to where I live and down on Holland's Landing Road, and my wheel exploded. Not that I had a flat, but my wheel exploded from the pothole I hit on Drew Island Road. Is the way it works, the only way you can be reimbursed if, number one, the state knows about this pothole problem. And then you have to take a picture of which pothole it was and then fill out the proper paperwork, and then you might get paid. I love this community with all my heart. And I love people. I'm a home inspector. I travel an hour-and-a-half radius from my home office, and I know some development is good and needed. But this is too much home development, and this is not needed. I was amazed and shocked at all of the sewer problems we have in our area. I have never heard such unprofessional characteristics of a county. I moved in
15 seconds.
in 2000, in 2000, I'm sorry, but I thank you for your time. I know as council people that you hold the heart of Newberry County dear to your heart. I ask you to do the best thing for our citizens and our roads. Reconsider their petition, and I'm in opposition of this change. Thank you.
Mr. Pee Wee Green? Mr. Pee Wee Green?
Yeah.
Anybody else wants to speak, take my time, because I think most of y'all have said what I was gonna say. And they did a better job of it now than I, so. Anybody else? Well, I don't have any, I'm just gonna say what y'all say, you have more facts. So, I'll decline my time.
All right, thank you. All right, at this time, first of all, I want to congratulate a gentleman who has not signed up on the list to talk, but a guy that signed up for re-election for our senator, and we are blessed to have you as our local senator. And Senator Cromer, if you would like to stand up and say anything, we'd more than like to give you the opportunity for the podium. And again, congratulations, congratulations, and congratulations.
I'll make it quick. Get in the hell. I'll make it quick. Let me clear up a couple things that was said tonight. A lot of the folks here don't know that back in the 90s, I served as the chairman of Newberry County Water and Sewer Authority. And Newberry Water and Sewer Authority has always operated on a shoestring budget. They don't have a lot of money. I think you heard that they've got, 500 sewage customers. Brent, is that about right? And 2,000 or maybe better than that on water customers now? How many? 4,200. 4,200. It's double since I was there. Yeah. Okay. But I do want to commend these guys for the job they're trying to do. And again, Bob, you have some great you have some great numbers.
I wouldn't have their jobs for the love of money. They can't do it.
Right, and I appreciate your numbers and all, and they are having to work with whatever means that they have. And I can remember when we were there, we didn't even have a capital reserve fund. Leonard Jackson, who a lot of you have heard of because he developed Plantation Point, was the CPA for the Water and Sewer Authority. And Leonard told me one day, he said, Ronnie, he said, y'all got to establish a capital reserve fund. If one of your lift stations goes out, it's about $30,000 back then, I think. Well, I don't know what it is now. But he said, you don't even have the money to replace that lift station, that sewage pump station. So we started Capital Reserve Fund, and they do have some money now in the Capital Reserve Fund to operate off of. But I'm telling you, you've heard the numbers from Bob and all, and that's not a reflection on the people that work there at the Water and Sewer Authority by any means. And I want to say that they work with me. Anytime I call them about a problem, they will work with me. They'll bend over backwards trying to fix the problem. But when you start adding, I guess, and I don't know the exact number of these cluster homes. I heard the number 200, 250. I don't know how many it is. But if you add 200, you're looking at almost a 50% increase on the numbers that you have now on the existing your infrastructure with the sewage and all. And I just don't know how in the world with the amount of funds that Brent and all those have to work with that they're going to be able to successfully take care of all those additional homes. Now, if you were building individual homes and you were building 2 a month or 3 a month, you know, over the course of a year or so, you get 30-something. You've got time to work on and hopefully bring the sewage system. I know they're working on another lift station right now, replacing a lift station. And so hopefully that would work at keeping these homes being built. Now, let me tell you, all of you know that most people that come to work in Newberry and like Samsung and all these other places, they've been told and led to believe for years that it would be better to go to Chapin and put their kids in school in Chapin and build a home in Chapin. And a lot of them, most of them have. But there's a trend that's reversing now that I see. People are now understanding that Newberry County schools are not what they were 20 years ago, Mr. Chairman. Would you agree that they have made some tremendous strides? And we've got a lot of people moving out of the upper end of Lexington County, Chapin, Irmo, and those areas are coming up to Little Mountain and the lake around Prosperity and all those areas in there, and they're building these new homes. And those people like what we got. They are enamored with it, I would go so far as to say. And I would like to say that somebody talked about the values of the homes. If we put in all these cluster homes, I'm a firm believer that over a course of 10 years or so, 5 or 10 years, we're going to devalue the property that's already there around the lake. And what does that do? That lowers your tax base. Now, I know you get an immediate influx of money from 200 homes, cluster homes there, but I just think over the long run that we're doing a disservice to our county, and especially to the middle lower end of the county. So I just wanted to point that out to you tonight. I appreciate you hearing us. And for those that were in attendance at the last meeting that we had on this, Buddy and I got together, and we hugged and kissed, and we made up for anything that was said that night. And
I watched that as long as I could.
I also want to recognize one other gentleman that y'all have working for the county. We talked about the roads a lot, and most of that is the state's problem. And the state is working on it. People heard about the 12 cents a gallon that went on the gasoline. Well, it's not 12 cents yet. Right now, it's like 4 cents. And it's a whole lot less than that since we started COVID-19 because everybody was staying at home. The revenues that were supposed to be coming in to help fill the coffers to do all this work, that money went out the window because people were not going to work. They were taking care of everything at home. So anyway, the guy that I want to point out is Mike Pisano. Mike has done a fantastic job of keeping up the county roads. I don't have any control over Mike or any influence over Mike, but all I got to do is call him, and Mike will be more than willing to get out there and try to take care of all these problems that we do have on our county roads. So thank you so much for Mike and Brent. Mike, tell the folks out there that the county water and sewer is actually not under the county council. They're not responsible for it other than appointing the board members for the water and sewer authority. Water and Sewer Authority is a special purpose district. They get their monies. They don't have the ability to tax. They get their money strictly from their customers and nobody else in the county. So everything that they've got to do to put in to trying to take care of this cluster development will be on the backs of the existing Water and Sewer Authority customers, unless somebody's putting up a whole lot of money that I don't know about. But thought I'd point that out to you. Thank you for your time, and I thank you for the opportunity to be able to speak to you.
Thank you, Ronnie. Ronnie, thanks again, and congratulations on your reelection. And again, just for clarification, Ronnie, my parents, which both deceased now, they thought Ronnie Cromer was just the salt of the earth and walked on water. So when I picked at him the other night, it was because of kind of having a long time friendship relationship, and I guess it's just an appropriate time to pick and not pick. But Ronnie Cromer is the best thing we've had in Newberry County in a long time that continues to represent us well as a state senator. So Ronnie, again, thank you, and I think you know I really supported you and tried to help you out on that thing too. So just again, good friends and bad picking. All right, one that's been picked on a lot tonight, or his services have been picked on a lot tonight. Brent, would you like to say anything just in clarification?
That's all right. I think I have to kick me son on, but I appreciate your time. I did provide Taylor some handouts so that you could have some information with regards to plans to serve Palmetto Point. But did want to let you know there's been a lot of discussion tonight that seems to point toward that we could never handle serving Palmetto Point Cottage community. And I just want to tell you that is just not true. So the treatment capacity, the Water and Sewer Authority has available treatment capacity of 800,000 gallons per day. To put in perspective, Palmetto Point will contribute around 26,000 per day. I'm not going to go through this whole thing, but we have distribution lines surrounding this property. As far as funding, the developer will be responsible for one off-site water line, which will be on Granny Hill Road. He will be solely responsible for engineering and installation of that line and all on-site infrastructure. Future lot owners will pay tap fees prior to establishing service. Our tap fees are split into two categories. You have an install component, which covers the material used to install a tap, and you have a capacity component. Well, this capacity component is there so that it replaces it provides the funding to replace treatment capacity by that house. So those will come in as the customer gets service. As far as wastewater, which is the main concern tonight, treatment capacity, we do not have a problem there. There's 445,000 gallons of treatment capacity at the wastewater treatment facility. There is, as far as collection, we have a 6-inch force main, and we have existing duplex pump station on Holland's Landing Road, which we have had quite a bit of trouble with, as you've heard tonight. And also, we have proposed capacity upgrades to the Holland station, as well as a new pump station, which will be installed on Macedonia Church Road. This will help take the load off of Holland's. This pump station has already been authorized by the board. Expenditure has already been authorized. We've already completed site acquisition, we've completed design, and we have signed contracts with McClam and Associates. We executed contracts on July 9th to complete the pump station on Macedonia Church Road. As the upgrade of the existing Hollands, those pumps will be replaced as well. As far as the status, I think I gave you that there on the sewer. I will address a few of the concerns because with capacity upgrades, the projects to upgrade the pump stations are the main bulk of the capacity upgrades. Like I said, those projects are underway. Those pumps have been ordered for both stations, the control panels on order, the wet wells, due to ship the second week of August. So all those things are in progress and happening. As far as infiltration, this is the main issue we're fighting. Mr. Bob wasn't wrong one bit. I can tell you on a normal day, our pumps at Plantation Point run 5 hours a day. That's not a lot of stress on a pump station. 5 hours out of a 24-hour period of time. The pumps at Holland run 10 hours a day. Still not a lot of stress, in a 24-hour period of time. What we're struggling with is infiltration due to stormwater. And unfortunately, this is a door-to-door search. This involves door-to-door infiltration study, and we have targeted the sources of the majority of our problems as Plantation Point, Edgewater Shores, and Drew Island State Park. What we're doing there, we have notified, we've had a lot of assistance through the Homeowners Association for those two subdivisions. They have provided us email addresses for the residents. We have email notifications letting them know we will be in their communities doing this door-to-door search. We'll be conducting some smoke testing as needed, and we'll be documenting and making repairs to reduce the stormwater. I mean, I've been there myself. I'm not, we are a small organization. I'm in the field when these things are going on, and I can stand at the Plantation Point pump station, and when it starts raining, within 10 minutes, I've got a large increase in flow in that 10-minute period of time, and I can see the flow coming in, and it's not wastewater, it's rainwater. And so we do have a problem, and we're working on that. And we have gutters, we suspect, tied into our sewer system. A lot of the stuff the problems we have are on individual parcels of land and not necessarily our main lines. The Plantation Point system doesn't have collection lines. It doesn't have gravity lines. It's pressurized. So we don't have cracks in the pressurized mains. What we have is infiltration, rainwater infiltration, entering that system through the solids tanks, through catch basins that are tied into our sewer, through gutters that are tied into our sewer. And so this takes a door-to-door search, and that's what we'll be working on. It's a tough job, but it's got to be done. Like you said, Mr. Bob, these things have to improve.
So you think it's residential? You think the problem is residents?
In Plantation Point, 100%. There's not.
Look, my lift station pumps once a week.
I'm sorry, I'm not going to.
Sir.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Yes, I'm sorry. If it's a pressurized line, in other words, it's not infiltration coming into a pressurized line. We do have areas in Edgewater Shores where we have gravity collection lines, and those lines, yes, absolutely. Infiltration can come into those lines through a crack in that line or such, and we'll be investigating there as well. There was a question early on about capacity. We have evaluated capacity. I thought a gentleman brought up a very good point about planning for the future. And in our planning, the planning is we've got right at about 350 existing homes on Lake Murray as we sit today. The planning for the pump station upgrades would serve the existing 350, would serve another 350, would serve a potential development the size of Palmetto Point, and have a 2.3 peaking factor to help with, as Mr. Bob put it and is documented, the limited amount of stormwater that should be entering the system. And you do design for that. So that is underway, and we are taking future considerations there. As far as the Lake Murray Water Treatment Plant, I do want you to know that we are not anticipating any impact from sediment entering Lake Murray affecting our water treatment process or affecting our cost to treat the water in Lake Murray.
We get that Friday?
So,
We got that Friday.
No comments. He's got the floor right now.
yeah.
Thank you.
Anyway, yes, sir. Mr. Livingston, that's all I have. If anybody's got any questions, I'll be glad to address those questions from council.
I have a question.
They're from the council.
Can I answer a question?
From the council.
Council. I'm sorry.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes. Mr. Coon?
Brett,
Yes, sir.
have you received any request from council, either council members or through our administrator, which the council would be asking the questions for him? Have you received any complaints from us or any questions about what has been taking place or what's going to take place? Because we've been hearing that we are not concerned. We've already made our minds up. We're not concerned with what's going on. Have we not been in touch with you and asked you how you were going to fix this problem? And if anything, what we could do to help?
Yes, sir. This has been brought up since the first very meeting on this subject, and you're right. That has been a topic for discussion since Palmetto Point, started this rezoning process. So, yes, sir. I mean, there is, all throughout that process, there has been questions, yes, about what's going to be done, and we do have a plan to rectify the situation.
That's not the question he asked you.
Ma'am?
That's not the question he asked you.
You're asking if I've received calls.
From us.
Have you and I talked about this, Brent? If we have, to what extent?
Yes, yes. Mr. Adams and I have discussed the concerns over the sewer system. Yes, sir.
And at the request of council, you did this?
Yes.
I'm glad to answer any other questions.
Thanks, Brent. I appreciate what you're doing, and again, as Mr. Cromer so eloquently said a while ago, with limited funds over the years, and they've done quite a good job of trying to do a monumental task with very, very minimal funds to make it happen, and I think things are headed in the right direction. I appreciate you trying to address all of the questions that were presented or the concerns that were presented by the group. I know I heard somebody say you have 3-minute limit. I don't think you could address all the stuff that you had that was, and I won't say accused because I think the facts speak for themselves that he had, but I mean, you at least tried to address the whys and what can be done about it. So again, with that being said, we really appreciate it. At this time, I think Mr. Adams has about 16 people who actually sent in emails regarding it. So, Mr. Adams, you have 3 minutes per each one to read them.
Yeah. Well, because of social distancing requirements of COVID-19, we did ask people to send comments in writing in lieu of attending the meeting. So there are a lot of them. And some of them you've heard before, and it may sound a little monotone because I've got to read through 20 minutes of it. But let's sort of turn the lights down low and enjoy it. This first one is from Brenda and Sean Cassidy. They live at 963 Peninsula Drive in Prosperity. Some of you might know them. Good afternoon. Though prescribed by state statute, I think they refer here to the public hearing requirement, I would like to thank Chairman Livingston and Newberry County Council for this opportunity to provide input and voice my wife's and my, concerns regarding ordinances 020420 through 21220 and the proposed development around Holland's Landing Road, Granny Hill Road, Macedonia Church Road, Circle H Woods Road, and Peninsula Drive. I attended the first hearing for the ordinances on February 5th, 2020, as well as the informational hearing held on February 22nd, 2020. In both hearings, I saw genuine concern from not only friends and neighbors, but from a wide range of residents of these areas. Our concerns mirror these, and for us, they are simply, and he provides a list. Number one, no one associated with this project is based in South Carolina. American Land Holdings is based in Virginia. To my knowledge, Mr. Sinatra or other ALH personnel are planning a permanent move to South Carolina. This does not give us confidence in their considerations for our concerns, as they will not have, and this is in quotation marks, skin in the game, and appear to be profit-driven no matter what happens on the back end. Number two, this project is being promoted as an area with, and this is in quotes, second home appeal. Most of the residents are likely similar to us in that we each worked and had successful careers that allowed us to be able to realize our dream of lake living. We do not own a second home, as this is where we chose to live due to the beauty of the lake, the natural surroundings, and the quality of life we have here. In the current, in quotes, pandemic, we don't believe that the market for second homes is as robust as it was 6 months ago. Number three, the infrastructure is not ready, and there is no solid indication it will be ready anytime soon. Newberry County Water and Sewer detailed plans for improvement and monies that it will take at the informational hearing. I submit that what is in place should be completely repaired and modernized to meet our current needs. The road around the project will need improving, and we were told a traffic engineer from USC had been contacted to assess the project and that the roads were nowhere near capacity. Again, we live here, and the conditions of these roads are terrible in a number of locations, and added traffic, which will start with construction and building traffic, will not help. There is no confidence that this will be properly addressed, as traffic engineers gave us malfunction junction. Yeah, right. These improvements discussed by several at the meeting on February 22nd were described as being prorated. Who pays the rest? Customers, developers, or the county? There is not adequate cable TV, internet, or other modern needs that will be wanted by newcomers. That would have to be addressed. These are just a few items of concern. Number four, it is likely, as it is now, that new residents, whether part-time or permanent, will seek entertainment, dining, shopping, medical care, and other needs in Chapin, Lexington, and Richland counties, and areas away from Newberry County. Between Prosperity and Newberry and other small communities, we just don't have these things in the variety that people want, particularly those coming from larger metropolitan areas. Newberry County needs to be attractive for more than just those looking for a second home. It offers a good variety of employment opportunities from Georgia Pacific, Komatsu, Kisswire, Samsung, Pioneer, and Kraft Foods, and McKechnie Automotive, Newberry College, etc. We firmly believe that if proper development, guided by clear, forward-looking vision of several nice, smaller, new home communities were done, the county would see the kind of growth it desires. As there is no way to adequately predict the success of this proposed project, as there are no guarantees in place for the necessary improvements, and it has never been explained fully as to how this project, this is in quotes, will make sense for the community. My wife and I do not support this project as it is proposed. Though the Plantation Points Board of Directors has advised they will not oppose this project, and with all due respect to our friends and neighbors on the board, please note that they do not speak for us on this matter. And with all due respect to Chairman Livingston, we are not opposed to progress. Please don't confuse our concerns with that characterization. We are all for progress that is well-planned, progress that is well-prepared, and progress that makes sense. This particular project does not. We also believe that if you bring a problem, bring a solution. Our suggestion for this project is to downsize it drastically, fix the infrastructure first, and make efforts to address quality housing in other areas of the county where it is needed. Make Newberry County truly, and this is in quotes, a place to live. Respectfully, Brenda and Sean Cassidy, 963 Peninsula Drive, Prosperity. And thank you. I'm going to pace myself here and take a sip of water, and I'm not taking requests, though. So the next communication is from Peyton Howell. Anybody know Peyton?
He's my neighbor.
He's the senator's neighbor. He's at 507 Edgewater Drive, and he's probably watching now. So, he says, please utilize this email letter to represent opposition for the proposed cluster home project for Newberry County to deny approval for RSM zoning. My reasons for opposition are as follows. 1, this cluster development, given the proposed location, will place excessive demand on the current utilities capacity, specifically sewer and water. 2, high-density developments typically are constructed using inferior materials to allow for low entry pricing and/or rental property as an occupying option. Dwellings of this nature lower neighboring property values. They also tend to deteriorate quickly. Landlords, renters tend to dismiss or ignore unsightly dwellings. This further lowers neighboring property values. Number 3, cluster developments place excessive demand on civil services. Police, rescue, fire, Newberry County and outlying townships such as Prosperity do not have the current full-time or volunteer capacity to cover the added demand of a cluster development. Number 4, please reference recent Saluda County development as an example that should be a lesson learned. Obvious lack of inspections have allowed improper silt fencing at the waterline. This is contributing to a silt runoff and could lead to negative impacts on aquatic plants and fish. Number 5, cluster developments place excessive negative impact on Lake Murray. What would be the requirements of the cluster home development for lake access, for boat trailer storage? Would there be homeowner dockage? What is the overall shoreline impact for this cluster development? Will the 360 line requirement be followed? Number 6, has Newberry County Council been thorough in understanding all the potential negative impact this RSM zoning approval will encourage? Increase in tax revenue for Newberry County would be achieved through could be achieved through a better use of this property versus a cluster development. Respectfully, Peyton Howell, 507 Edgewater Drive, Prosperity. Okay. All right. Our next person here is Dwayne Twining. You guys know Dwayne? He is, is he Plantation Point or is he Ham's Landing? Ham's Landing? Maybe he gives his address here in the letter. I'm sorry, he does. 573 Ham's Landing Road, Prosperity. I urge council to vote against the ordinances as it requests zoning of a rural set of properties bordering Lake Murray to RSM. The appropriate zoning would be RS, consistent with the surrounding properties, especially those bordering Lake Murray. Today, I enjoyed the view from my dock on Lake Murray while working from home. There were ducks, hawks, osprey, and fish that were seen and heard, as was the wind blowing the trees and small ripples in the water. You getting this?
Yeah, honestly.
When considering writing this letter, I considered that instead of that, I would be subject to deforestation, chainsaws, and large logging equipment. I would see bare dirt and few trees. There would be brown runoff in the water and construction noises and excessive traffic. Then there would be dock building barges and boat traffic and people playing loud music. I also considered the challenges I have with public utilities. I had to pay out of pocket to have access to electricity, a special LETT system at my expense to participate in public water and sewer, a 7-year wait for natural gas service, outdated and unreliable internet connection, no access to traditional telephone, and only one option for cellular phone with any signal. It's so bad that I have to drive at least a mile away to report power outages using a cellular phone. I cannot imagine adding a couple hundred houses right across the creek from me without these existing services being challenged further. Developing this land the way that American Land Holdings proposes would cause all of those challenges in quick succession. A proper zoning and development of that land consistent with the Plum Nelly subdivision and Plantation Point, the two nearest neighbors, would be much more gradual and controlled. Zoning RS would make more sense than high-density RSM and would be more likely to promote houses that match the neighboring communities, instead of a clear-cut, high-density, suburban development sticking out like a sore thumb. While development is inevitable, I ask for your consideration to promote development of the land in a manner consistent with the neighbors such that the existing taxpayers and voters are less negatively impacted. I believe that a proper zoning code of RS makes the most sense in this case, and I urge you to vote against the ordinances. Again, this is Dwayne Twining of 573 Hams Landing Road. Okay, our next one comes from Timothy and Deborah Peak. They are, is this 18 Alston Place?
Yes.
Okay, is that in
Yes.
Plantation Point? Okay. When our family originally decided to build in Plantation Points in 1999, we reviewed the materials closely and weighed the options of other locations on Lake Murray. Despite some of the disadvantages of living an inconvenient distance from our jobs and shopping, the advantages presented regarding the neighborhood made the choice easy. Attached are the original articles and brochures for the neighborhood, which I have kept since our decision to purchase property in the Points. Quotes and words from the attachment which helped us choose this location in Newberry are as follows. And I will show you, he's quoting from a circular here that he gives us where he takes these quotes from. So I'll read them to you. Tranquility, heavily wooded forests, carefully phased for orderly development. Its master plan reflects a commitment to this special environment, creating a controlled community with unmatched amenities. Serene setting, a private enclave nestled on a dramatic peninsula, relaxing in the special serenity of the lake. Owners within the exclusive points have the comfort of knowing that all residential designs throughout the plantation are carefully guided by architectural review and design covenants. Note, this originally included the Plantation Club, which is the property the Stewart House is located on today. Interesting note, I had not heard that. The Points and the Plantation Club are the grand cornerstones of Plantation Point. As the community grows, carefully phased development will assure residents that master planned amenities are compatible with sound development principles. Here he cites the source as Lake Murray Magazine, January 1998, the article, Newberry Awaits Growth, Plantation Points feature article. Executive Director of the County Development Board and Chamber of Commerce quote, "What we would like to see is an extension of the quality development that's occurring across the county line, the north shore of Lexington County. If you understand where you have come from, it will always help keep you on track to where you should go. This small look back into history of Plantation Point's development clearly does not align with the current plans to rezone this property as defined by the above ordinances," which he lists by number. "This plan will destroy the natural beauty, serenity, and wildlife which exist on this property connected to the points. Traffic, crime, and utilities will be a major concern. Once this property is gone, it can never be recovered. Please help us make the right choices for our neighborhood, community, and Newberry County. We can build something so much better as a showcase to the beautiful, historic Newberry County." Submitted respectfully by Timothy and Deborah Peak. Okay, so I'm trying to find the address here. Oh, here we go. This is from Robert and Karen Coons. They live at 1448 Blacksgate East. Anybody here from Blacksgate East? Oh, okay, there we go. And Senator Cromer knows everybody over there because he just finished campaigning in the Republican primary. So here's what they say, Robert and Karen Coombs. To whom it may concern, my wife and I own the property at 1448 Blacksgate East, Prosperity, South Carolina, in the county of Newberry. We are writing this email to oppose the following ordinances. Need I name them? They are the 9 on the agenda. I'll dispense with that. We believe the resulting cluster home project will be detrimental to the area, its residents, and the current way of life. We urge County Council to reject the request to rezone these parcels. Sincerely, Robert and Karen Coombs. Okay, now we have Bill and Nancy Montgomery from 406 Pioneer Shores. Okay. They say, we oppose the passing of the above ordinances for zoning for cluster housing in the Holland's Landing, Macedonia Roads area. The majority of the homeowners in the area moved to Prosperity because it was not crowded and the lake provided a peaceful, quiet resort-like area. Newberry County prospers from the taxes homeowners in this area provide. Additionally, President Trump just reversed the AFFH regulation known as affirmatively furthering fair housing. The move comes after President Trump characterized the 2015 rule as an existential threat to the suburban way of life that will bring about more crime and lower home prices. In a statement, Department of Housing and Urban Development Secretary Ben Carson said the regulation was, quote, unworkable and ultimately a waste of time for localities to comply with. We have a link here to foxnews.com. If anybody wants to see it, I'll be glad. I don't want to read out this thing. It's hard to read these links. It's about this long. A cluster of lower-priced houses would bring an influx of people to the area and would affect, and he gives us a list. They give us a list of 7 things. 1, traffic. 2, even poorer road conditions. 3, under-equipped fire, police, and ambulance services. 4, overcrowded schools. 5, additional school bus traffic. 6, quality of drinking water. 7, quality of lake life, just to name a few. It is at least 9 miles to the nearest grocery store with no public transportation. The state park, boating, and fishing traffic would be negatively affected by this influx. We are strongly opposed to this zoning change. Bill and Nancy Montgomery at 406 Pioneer Shores in Prosperity. Okay. Next, we hear from Thomas J. and Christina S. Hamill. This is 603 Living Inn Road. This is Keith Avery's neighbor. Thank you, County Council, for listening to your constituents. My name is Thomas J. Hamill. My wife's name is Christina Hamill. We reside at 603 Living Inn Road, Prosperity. We are lifelong residents of South Carolina and finally settled in the beautiful county of Newberry. One of the many reasons we have is the people, the wildlife, and the serenity. It is our feeling this cluster home project will devour all, if not most of that. The environmental impact will be devastating as well. Traffic, litter, the stress on the local community will be devastating. Lake Murray is already under tremendous stress. We are realists and understand progress, but please realize cluster homes and rezoning property is not progress in this particular community. We welcome newcomers to build as individuals and assimilate into our lovely state and county, just not this way. Thank you sincerely, Thomas J. and Christina Hamill at 603 Living Inn Road. Okay, now we get to a difficult name. I knew this would happen. Art Rademakers? Art Rademakers? It's spelled R-A-D-E-M-A-E-K-E-R-S at 518 Pioneer Shores. He says, I oppose the passing of the above ordinances for zoning for cluster housing in the Holland's Landing Macedonia Road area. The majority of the homeowners in this area moved to Prosperity because it was not crowded and the lake provided a peaceful, quiet, resort-like area. Newberry County benefits from the property and sales taxes homeowners in this area provide. Additionally, here's another reference to something that another person mentioned. President Trump just reversed the AFFH regulation known as affirmatively furthering fair housing. The move comes after President Trump characterized the 2015 rule as an existential threat to the suburban way of life that will bring about more crime and lower home prices. In a statement, Department of Housing and Urban Development Secretary Ben Carson said the regulation was, quote, unworkable and ultimately a waste of time for localities to comply with, end quote. And he provides the same Fox News link that if anybody's interested in, we can provide that to you. A cluster of lower-priced houses would bring an influx of people to the area and would affect traffic, fire, police, and ambulance services, require additional school buses, and might affect quality of drinking water and quality of lake life. It is at least 9 miles to the nearest grocery store with no public transportation. The state park, boating, and fishing traffic would be negatively affected by this influx. I am strongly opposed to this zoning change. Art Radermakers, 518 Pioneer Shores, Prosperity. Okay, Pat Busby. That's Middleton Place. That's your neighborhood, right? Plantation Point? Okay. Dear members of the council, I believe that one does not have the right to complain or object unless they have made an effort to change the situation first. As a resident of the points at Plantation Point, I want to let my voice be heard that I am not, all capitals, N-O-T, in favor of the development of the land adjacent to our neighborhood as it has been presented to us. The most obvious objections are, and there's a list here, not numbered. First is environmental impact on the land in the very small cove of the lake. Next, stress on an already overloaded and very fragile sewage system. The next one, additional traffic, trash, and road wear and tear on county roads. Next is density of residences and definition of quote-unquote cluster homes. I'm sure you have been made aware of each of these, and my understanding is the developer has agreed to address some of these issues. My concern is that this agreement is verbal. Promises are cheap. Before he has given the zoning he desires, you should have a legal written contract signed by American Landholding Company and Newberry County to ensure these promises are kept. My second concern is twofold. What kind of residences, mobile homes, trailers, manufactured homes will be put on these lots? Subsequently, will these residences, in quotes, be allowed to be rented for weekend, weekly, or monthly celebrations of the lake? I see this as a welcome mat to irresponsible renters causing unpleasantness for the homeowners who live on that cove and share the water. My third concern is the passing of the said development to the lot owners with a set of covenants and a functioning HOA put in place to enforce the covenants. As a former member of the PPPOA board, I saw firsthand the difficulties and headaches caused by our developer who, in all caps, did not do this right. We live today as 4 separate HOAs with only one PPPOA functioning and enforcing our covenants to maintain the integrity and property value of our neighborhood. The result of the developer's irresponsibility can be seen as one rides through our neighborhood observing violations. To this end, I hope the council considers all of the implications of their decision and its impact on all the residents on and around Holland's Landing, Granny Hill, Peninsula, and Circle H Woods. Thank you very much for making this forum possible in light of our current pandemic crisis. Patricia Busby, 230 Middleton Place, Prosperity. Okay. Jean Marie and John Robert Eckert. Dear Madams and Sirs, this is to state our opposition to ordinance numbers 02, 04-20, 02-05-20, 02-06-20, 02-07-20, 02-08-20, 02-09-20, 02-10-20, 02-11-20, and last but not least, yes, 02-12-20, about which you are holding a special meeting. We are co-owners of the 603 Living Inn Road Prosperity. Okay, wasn't that other one 603 Living Inn Road? Hang on a second. Yeah, so that was Thomas and Christina Hamill are saying 603 Living Inn Road, and so are Jean Marie and John Robert Eckert. We are co-owners of 603 Living Inn Road Prosperity. Respectfully submitted, Jean Marie and John Robert Eckert. Again, they are stating their opposition to these ordinances. Okay. I met this guy at the Homeowners Association. He told me how to pronounce his name, but I don't remember it. Somebody, it's spelled M-A-Z-Z-E-I. Is he here by chance? I want to say Maisie. Maisie. Yeah, Walt Maisie, 11 Belle Isle Lane, Prosperity. Walt says, I wish to comment on the proposed special call meeting to be held on July 29th, 2020. I remain concerned that the proposed development can too easily result in a bad outcome for Newberry. All the projections and discussions sound wonderful if, capital I, capital F, everything works out as presented. But what complex project works as expected? The board needs to take actions that provides for successful outcomes even if the developers are not successful. Has the board considered what might happen if the zoning is changed but the developers are not successful or change their plans? What will provide safety to Newberry County investments in infrastructure or to our home values? There should be restrictions in place before, all caps, before, rezoning or permitting in order to prohibit mobile homes and non-permanent structures within the revised zones. When I talked with the developer, he said the restrictions would be applied to the titles. Is that happening? What if it doesn't happen? Also, there cannot be commercial fueling or other business on the water in these zones that further increases the current high-speed, heavy traffic on the small channel leading to the development. Failure to address the boat traffic speed issue can damage existing investments. And turning the area over to an HMO, I think they mean a HOA, but I don't know. Medical guys may be into this stuff too. In hopes that these issues will be addressed, will not provide the controls needed to assure a good outcome. I urge the board to delay its vote until these issues are properly addressed and under control. And this is Walt Maisie, 11 Belle Isle Lane, Prosperity. Okay. This is from Drewy Cavender, 48 Drayton Court. This is spelled D-R-U-I-E. I actually have two letters here. This is a long one. I am writing to express my significant concerns regarding this proposed development. First, let me acknowledge that the developers have apparently shown good faith in their interactions with the county and the nearby homeowners. I am pleased that they will not allow mobile homes in the development and that they will deed the property across from the Plantation Point entrance sign to the PPPOA. The developers offer to help pay for water, sewer, road improvements is also reassuring. Having said all of that, I still have concerns that mainly fall into two areas. Area 1. My first concern is that the developers are proposing far too many houses for the site. I'm familiar with that area, and I know that the very small cove with a cluster, and again, they're putting quotes around the word cluster, houses are going to be built is perhaps only 50 to 100 feet wide. I have no way to measure that distance myself. To build about 138 homes with associated docks on that site seems grossly out of balance. My understanding is that one of the reasons Newberry County is potentially in favor of this development is because of the perceived need for more medium-priced homes. The developers in the county apparently believe that building small homes on small lots in that area will help satisfy that need. But we have also been told that the developers are going to market these houses as secondary vacation homes with access to lake, not for permanent residents, and in parentheses, more on the question of permanent residents below. I, for one, would have no interest at all in buying into a cluster development in such a small cove, and I fear that developers are overestimating the desirability of such homes. I attended the first meeting about this development on February 18th. At that meeting, one of the council members, whose name has been forgotten, said that he had explored that site on foot to help him make the most rational decision about its development. I appreciate his effort, and I encourage all other council members to do the same before a final decision is reached. Last week, my wife and I attended a meeting of the Lake Murray Association. Representatives from Dominion Energy were there, and we were told that they are very concerned about sediment running off into the lake due to increasing development. A large, dense development like the one being proposed would undoubtedly contribute to that problem, and this needs to be addressed before a final decision is reached. To address the above issues, I would like to propose a compromise. The county wants more medium-priced homes, and the developers are obviously in the business of making money. If the developers would agree to significantly decrease the number of houses, but not increase the lot size, thereby preserving more undeveloped space, perhaps the county could agree to pay for the necessary water, sewer, road improvements. I have personally seen what overdevelopment can do to a lake. When my parents decided to retire from Ohio, they bought a home on the Lake of the Ozarks in Missouri, a lake with a similar amount of shoreline to Lake Murray. At that time, the Lake of the Ozarks shoreline was dotted with undeveloped areas of forest, single-family homes, restaurants, and family resorts. It was much more of a tourist destination than Lake Murray. Over time, developers bought many of the resorts and replaced them with high-density developments, mostly condominium complexes. Those condos were often purchased by people from St. Louis, Kansas City, and other urban areas for weekend and summer vacations. As a result, the permanent residents on the lake felt trapped in their houses on the weekends and sometimes during the week in the summers because there were far too many boats on the lake and far too many cars on the road. I would hate to see this happen to Lake Murray. Second area of concern. My second worry is based on the developer's stated marketing strategy to market these properties as second vacation homes with access to the lake. Specifically, I am concerned that such homes could be rented out when the owners are not there, and that the renters' activities could significantly degrade that small area of the lake and the surrounding properties. This is not an irrational fear. Every quarter, volunteers from the PPOA pick up trash along Holland's Landing Road from Circle H Woods Drive to Macedonia Church Road, approximately 1 mile. We typically accumulate 25 to 30 large bags of trash each time we do this. I would expect this problem to significantly increase if 130 homes are built on such a small site and are subsequently rented out. Similarly, I would expect that the lake water in such a small cove to be degraded if these houses are rented out. Are the developers willing to put a restriction on those homes such that they cannot be rented out when the owners are not there? My opinion on this development would markedly change if these homes were marketed to permanent residents who would definitely care about the area's development. Again, I'm pronouncing this name Drewy Cavender, and that's 48 Drayton Court, Prosperity. Okay, we still got a few more to go, but I am going to stick with it. You notice that we haven't lost any of the audience since I started reading these. It's pretty good. How are we doing on live streaming?
We have 42 watching right now.
Is that a high point? That's what I'm telling you. Okay. So now we're going to John William Panhorse Jr., 73 Melrose Place, Prosperity.
But this job is driving him to drinking.
This was provided by Mary Arrowwood. This was a letter that was written to her, and Mary, who's here, asked us to read it. Dear Mrs. Arrowwood, thank you for your 10 July 2020 letter informing us of the status of Palmetto Point development. Your sharing the status of this project is exactly why we voted for you in the Republican primary. This letter has a bigger impact on our decision to vote for you than all the roadside billboards and glitzy postcard mailings. It is important that all information about county council action be brought to the attention of constituents, both bad and good. Thank you. With regard to the development, we are not opposed to developing this property into a residential community, but we are vehemently opposed to zoning changes, with or without restrictions, that allow cluster cottage homes on very small, lower-priced lots. We feel this portion of the project will substantially lower the value of all property in the area. If approved as currently proposed, at some future date, new owners may then request a zoning variation to allow for mobile homes, sheds, and the like. We urge you to use your influence to modify this proposal by eliminating a zoning change that permits any kind of cluster housing. Thank you for considering our position. John William Panhorse Jr., 73 Melrose Place, Prosperity. Okay, Paul and Faye Puckett of 226 Paul Green Road in Prosperity, unable to attend due to COVID. This is in all caps. I don't know. I mean, it might mean, I only point this out because sometimes when people do all caps, they really, really feel strongly about something. It's supposed to be kind of like you're yelling at someone, but maybe not everybody knows that. So we would like to say that selling this property for so many homes is not a good thing for our county. While looking for another home on the lake for 2 years, I have noticed many, many homes still with no county water, still with no sewer availability, still have homes on roads that are filled with potholes, and our sloppy, repurposed pavement that was done years and years ago has almost disappeared. There's a problem on Ham's Landing Road that the county keeps filling in the same 2 places, and the raised places keep reappearing over and over, no matter how many times they fill it. The county can't keep up what they have. I'll have to look into this. This is on me. And you want to create more of the same without creating and updating what you have? Fishing is almost non-existent now. We live in a home that is just inside the cove of the proposed homes. The lake is so crowded, I just can't imagine what it will be like living here then. These huge boats, especially the ones that pull people right behind it. Is that you, Senator Cromer? I know you have a big boat. I don't know if you're pulling people around there. on these new things that looks like they are sitting on a bicycle seat? I don't know. Yeah, okay. Cause huge waves on our property, destroying the banks and leaving no dirt, just small rocks on the banks. It's like living on the ocean. Please don't approve that many homes in this small area. 4 exclamation points. There used to be a sign years ago in Prosperity that said something like, perfect place for retirees. No wonder it's no longer there. Thank you for your time in reading this. Paul and Faye Puckett, 226 Paul Green Road, Prosperity. Okay. Thomas E. Sawinski. Actually, it's Tom and Pat Sawinski. 192 Middleton Place, Prosperity. As residents of Newberry County, we would like to comment on the proposal for rezoning property on Lake Murray, accessed off Circle H. Woods Road. While we understand the developer's desire to offer smaller lots for smaller residences in order to increase density and improve his profit margin after developing, the risks associated with rezoning that would allow mobile homes are overwhelming. Despite the developer's promise, in quotes, to deed restrict the property, what assurances are there that he actually would do that, or that such deeds would not subsequently be amended? We would propose that if council saw merit in the developer's strategy of allowing smaller lot parcels to improve his earnings, the better solution would be to create a new zoning category that allows for higher density housing for certain, quote, recreational or, quote, high value desirable property that excludes the use of that property for mobile homes, campers, temporary housing, undersized residences, or structures of any type that would detract from the value of surrounding or nearby property. This would be the simple solution to ensure that for high-value property within the county that might require significant developmental costs, the county would be protected from any unwanted lessening of the beauty of our natural resources, while allowing for a better return on investment for a developer who chose to judiciously take advantage of our natural beauty. Surely the creation of a new zoning category would be far superior method of protecting our county's beauty than depending on a developer to keep his word. Tom and Pat Sawinski, 192 Middleton Place, Prosperity. Okay, now this, anybody know how to pronounce this last name? M-I-C-E-I-K-A? Maseka? Okay. All right, this is Sharon and Jean Maseka, who live at 1331 Peninsula Drive. Dear sirs, we had submitted a number of questions to the developer before an earlier community meeting for the purpose of rezoning. At that time, the developer made some commitments and representations that addressed our concerns, the primary of which was the commitment to incorporate deed restrictions prohibiting manufactured and mobile homes in the development, now or in the future. Trusting that the developer will live up to those commitments and representation, we have no objection to the rezoning of the property as proposed. Anybody keeping score out there? So, okay. So now we have Leslie Twining. Didn't we have a Dwayne Twining before? Yeah. We did. And same address. 573 Hams Landing Road, Prosperity. Good evening, County Council members and fellow Newberry County residents and neighbors. I am writing tonight to urge you to vote against the proposed zoning request to take the aforementioned property to zoning designation RSM. It has been talked about during the previous meetings about the negatives for allowing the proposal of American Land Holdings. 1, inadequate road infrastructure and excessive traffic. 2, questionable abilities to handle water and sewer demands. 3, eagles and other wildlife present on the property. 4, construction concerns that would damage water quality of Lake Murray and overpopulation adding to lower quality. 5, schools already at max capacity and funding will now be going to implement COVID requirements to get our children back into the schools, not to expand buildings. Number 6, nearby lake developments of Plantation Point and Autumn's Cay have had lake private dock access lots vacant for over 10 years plus. Why would these lots have any chance of prospering? To me, the biggest reason against this proposed project is that it goes against everything Newberry County represents. Newberry County is a small town, rural living. Newberry County is small town, rural living where you know and respect your neighbor. Newberry County is where you see your local farmer plowing the field and later visit their veggie stand to bring home dinner items. Huge housing projects with postage-sized lots do not fit the image of Newberry County. That is what you see when you travel to Irma, not Newberry County. Sure, I understand that people will move and people want to live in this wonderful area. I know I did. But I respect rural small-town living and don't try to change the residents of Newberry County who have called this home for generations. I expect that this land will someday be developed. I'm not naive to think someone won't want to build on that property, but, all caps, it should not be done at the expense of changing Newberry County to a bustling, suburban, congested area like our neighbors in Richland and Lexington counties. If this land is to change zoning, the only responsible and respectful zoning regulation change is to change it to RS to keep and preserve the way of life in this area of Newberry County. Thank you for your time and consideration. Leslie Twining, 573 Hams Landing Road in Prosperity. Let's see, how many more? We don't have that many more, really. And they look to be short ones to boot. Except this one. This one comes from Dougal and Angela Keir. You know these guys? This is Peninsula Drive we're talking about. In fact, 651 Peninsula Drive, Prosperity. All right. As a resident and taxpayer in Newberry County and a resident living near the land parcels that are the subject of tonight's meeting, I wish to make the following public comments regarding, let me list the 9 ordinances. We know what they are. We know their numbers. I moved to rural Newberry County from the Irmo area to escape the crowding, congestion, traffic, crime, and other results from living in a highly populated suburban area. I love the way Newberry County is now, and I will hate to see us become another Chapin and Lexington. Chapin especially used to be a quiet, lovely community, but now because of so many new large residential developments, Chapin has become the new Irmo with overcrowded roads, overcrowded schools, increased stress on roads, and infrastructures designed for much less people, and many more of the problems you see in urban and suburban areas. I am all for progress and new opportunities for Newberry County, but this project is in the wrong place for development this large and happening this quickly. This part of the county is rural and should remain rural. Add the stress on the existing roads, water and sewer lines, the increased census in our schools, and the increased need for fire, EMS, and police protection will overwhelm and ruin this quiet, peaceful area. If this project occurs, then what's next? More large developments, large strip malls, a slippery slope will not stop until this area becomes another suburb of Columbia. Keep the large projects like this in the existing suburbs and larger communities where there is existing infrastructure like interstates and better utilities and where they're wanted. I hope our elected officials will vote for us citizens who they represent and vote against this project and not vote for an outside developer who will be here today and gone tomorrow. Keep Newberry County rural. Thank you, Dougal and Angela Keir, 651 Peninsula Drive, Prosperity. Celeste Parsons. Is Celeste Parsons here? Okay, and you did agree we would read your letter? Yes. Okay. Dear County Council members, I'm not opposed to development. What I am opposed to is going ahead and building more when the present sewage system cannot handle what it has now. We have lift stations that are overflowing with rainwater and sewage. This water is going into our beautiful Lake Murray and contaminating the water. We rely on that water for our drinking water. There is 72% above normal standard for fecal material. Okay. There is 72% above normal standard for fecal material allowed in the water that has been coming out of these pumps. We cannot turn a blind eye to this problem. Please vote no on this project until we can properly address the problems with sewage first. Thank you, Bob and Celeste Parsons, and they are at 23 Middleton Place in Prosperity. Now, actually, there was another couple tried to get in contact with us. They were Rick and Sharon Law at 640 Peninsula Drive. We could not open their attachment. We talked to, is Sharon here?
I am, and I gave my time off because
Okay.
pretty much everything I stated in the letter has been said.
Yeah.
So I appreciate it.
We just want to make sure everybody knew that you had a chance to speak.
And I do live in that cove,
Okay.
right there. And I'm very disappointed that, you know.
The ducks don't like it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that concludes the comments, both oral and written. And now, Mr. Chairman, I think we are at the, council has already voted to take all of these as a single item. So that means if council votes to approve the motion that's offered, that it will approve the rezoning of all 9 parcels to the RSM zoning designation. I have on the second page at the top, if someone wants to do that, a suggested motion that says, I move that the 9 ordinances listed on tonight's agenda as items 2 through 10 be approved as presented, rezoning all of the subject parcels to RSM single-family residential zoning. And a vote yes to that motion would approve rezoning of all the parcels as requested by the developer.
All right, do we have a motion to close public hearing? Motion by Mr. King, second by Dr. Rucker. All in favor of closing the public hearing? Okay, it's officially closed. All right, what are the wishes of council?
I mean, are we going to have a discussion?
Yeah, we'll have a motion and then we'll
Motion and
discuss.
second.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make that motion so we can go ahead with the discussion.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Mr. Chairman, let me, Mr. Kuhn, to clarify for the record, is it your motion that, are you moving that the 9 ordinances listed on tonight's agenda as items 2 through 10 be approved as presented, rezoning all of the subject parcels to RFM single-family zoning designation?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now we have a second. We have a second by Mr. Reader. All right, now discussion. All right, Mr. Stockman, you want we have discussion?
I don't want to jump turns, but I certainly will. I need to take this off because I'm about to hyperventilate anyway, but if y'all don't mind. Don't know exactly where to start. First, I'll say thank you all for being here tonight. Appreciate what you've said. I'm from that community. I share everything, every concern that you have, I share it with you. I want to thank Senator Cromer for being here. I'm sure I'm not the only one that asked him to be here. And if I call him Ronnie, there's a reason, because I've known Ronnie forever, but Senator Cromer has done an excellent job for us, and I certainly appreciate you being here, Ronnie. But that being said, I'm glad Senator Cromer brought up a point, and it's a very important point. It's probably the main point of all, because without this, why would we vote for it? He mentioned taxable revenue, and I can promise you, maybe not right now, but in the future, and I too can get a little bit loud when I'm, really, really feeling something. Not only to mention the sciatica nerve I got going off, but in the future, we may benefit right now, the county. We may see some taxable income at first, but then in the future, when these condos or these cluster homes start rolling, then I'm an old banker. I know all about appraisals. And I know that once you have a project and a home sells in this area for $300,000, and you've got homes sitting over here at $4, $5, $6, how many ever $100,000. If they go to sell it, then comps have got to come from somewhere. And guess where they come from? They come within a radius. And if there's not enough comps, then they use a percentage to adjust your value. Well, the first thing I would do if I were you, I believe in Newberry County. I wouldn't do a thing to hurt them. But this is going to hurt Newberry County in the long run, because you folks can go out and get an appraisal done, and you can bring it to Newberry and say, look, my property value is not worth what you say it is in the future. But that being said, if we're not voting for this for taxable reasons, for income reasons, then I want to ask my fellow council members, we've had one person in here tonight, other than a text message, that is for it, Mr. Harold Betty. And I'll be absolutely honest with you, if I lived in Plantation Point, I'd be trying to replace him. Sorry, just and Mr. Betty and I have a mutual feeling, I'm sure. But that being said, I don't know how council could vote for this with all of you folks not wanting it, nobody showing up for it, and the only reason we would vote for it would be for taxable income, and that's really not going to happen. So that I'm leaving it to that. I'm going to ask my fellow council members to please honor the wishes of the folks down in District 2.
Amen.
Thank you.
All right, other comments? Mr. King?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. I'm glad everybody's wearing masks. I'm sorry you're taking mine off, but I was told that, when you talk through a muffle that it's really tough to hear. So I'm going to take the risk and take it off right now, but I do wear mine, and I appreciate everybody else out there doing the social distancing just because of the issues we have out there. The first concern I have with this, and I want to thank Senator Cromer for coming, and I do want to thank him for working diligently at a state level to help us with our roads. That tax increase, the pennies, 15 cents or whatever it was tough to get through. He did yeoman's work, heading up his committee, putting that through and getting it to where we are now. It's just the way it is that the prices have gone down. So and the usage of, I think, dropped 30%. So to recoup that money and to start getting it, because it comes on in incremental stages, might be a while, which is one of my concerns. I mean, we do need, our infrastructure is bad. It needs a lot of work. It needs, the potholes out there, you know, you have to get the deep, deep surface patching where they dig down in it to get some of those things because there's groundwater infiltration that runs out below them. So you keep getting them over and over again. The money that Senator Cromer has gotten for the state and is going to come down to us will help with that, but it's a while in coming. It's not what we have now. To put that many homes out there with the infrastructure, like one person said, with one entry and exit point is an issue. I don't think anybody can say, the developers can talk about how they're going to market it, and that's okay, but nobody can say who can buy it and who's going to do it. So what you have out there, whether they're going to be renters, I don't know. I mean, that's going to be hard to control. I don't know if you can control it with all the B&Bs out there, Airbnbs, how you're going to do it. I just have an issue with that. Along with that, and I do want to, Brent Richardson, thank you for coming tonight. We've had discussions of asking questions, and to me, he's got a plan. Is it going to happen today? No. Do we have a problem? Yes. That's pointed out. That's been identified. As been pointed out, they work on a shoestring budget. I think their board of directors have done a yeoman's job trying to address our entire county's issue with the 4,200 folks that have water, and I'm not sure how many are on the sewer system, but I know that's just a constant problem. And how do you plan for development? How do you build an infrastructure to do it? If it's a pressurized system, water can't get into it. So it has to be coming from somewhere else and being inputted in there. So where that comes from, good luck on trying to find it. I think what it pointed out was that at some point between that and economic development, I know we have money in the penny sales tax for some of that. That money in the capital penny sales tax that we had back in 2016 for that, for different projects to upgrade our system. But we may end up having to look at how we're going to do that. Do we really need to help them out to service the citizens of our county? Because it's incorrigible to have sewage backup like that. But what they're doing, they're working on it. They're working as hard as they can. So, Brent, if you can pass on to all your folks, thank you for all the yeoman's work and doing everything you're doing to make that happen. Okay. But the other issues I have, fire, EMS, rescue, going down there, traffic flow, 2-lane highway, small. You're going to increase almost 50% or more the number of units down there, and I don't know how many cars. I mean, it's hard to tell. When somebody says, well, only these people are going to do this or only that, I mean, they're to me, no offense, but I'm getting told what I want to hear, not what may happen, because although they may market to that, and I hope they do, who's going to buy it? We don't know. And so you have to plan for a thriving community, because that's what y'all want out there. Y'all want a thriving community. So I do have a problem with the cluster homes. I don't think Newberry, land-wise, that we need cluster homes. I can only see that affecting house values, property values in that entire area, which I'm not necessarily. I don't like that. I mean, people go in there, buy a nice size lot, have a nice, put the infrastructure in, build a house, and now you have a really nice house that's worth not only money equity, but personal equity in it, that y'all have done that. And now that's going to be affected by some cluster homes. I don't agree with that. I don't think it's right for the community. I don't think it's right for Newberry County at this point. I don't think we need them. And so, again, Senator Cromer, thank you for all your hard work. Brent, Mr. Richardson, thank you, and thank the Water and Sewer. Again, I want to thank everybody for coming out, and please stay safe. Thank you all very much.
Anybody else comments? Mr. Curry?
I'm hurt to see y'all struggling so for what you want. I admire you for that. I stay almost in Greenwood County. I'm at Chapels. I'm the last almost resident in Newberry County. I've been in your area twice. All the Holland's land and Mr. Cotton, I came down and visited him. His veteran house, I visited that. And I rode the second time, down the last Sunday. It hurts to see you not happy at home. It hurts to say that I have to make a decision, maybe for you or against you. But we must make a decision. I hate it wasn't there when y'all bought the property. We could say, don't build it, don't buy it, don't purchase it. We don't want it there. But you invested your money and they invested their money in their homes. We're just a rock in a hard place. But we must make a decision. What's best for Newberry County? Think about it for a second. What's best for the county? We don't know. But every county must grow to be successful. And we are here to make the best decision for the county. Not for the developers, it's for all of us. Trying to make a good decision. So don't get upset when it don't go your way. I stay in a little cabin in Chapels. It don't go my way there. But we must come together at a point that we all can come together so we can live together. This world's our world. Nobody owns it. God owns it all. But we must come to a point in life that we all can come together and say, we can live here and go far. To the developers and to the homeowners, I pray for you all. Thank you so much.
Mr. Curry, anybody else? Got one question. Oh, go ahead, Mr. Christian.
Hard decision to make. Twice I have voted to take this forward to the third reading. Back several years ago, we reworked our zoning ordinances. We had quite a few meetings, all advertised. We all but begged people to come out and participate. We had one retreat, a 2-day retreat. We didn't go to Myrtle Beach to have that retreat. We didn't go to Charleston like a lot of governmental entities do. We stayed right here in Newberry. We used our facility out here at Piedmont Tech. Again, we asked for participation. You know how many people showed up to participate? To make their concerns known? Not one. Not one. So your concerns here tonight and your concerns during our other previous meetings, I've taken all of it under one umbrella. I've looked at it all, and I believe that, as Mr. Scurry said, we need to move forward. I don't see where this is going to cause a big problem with any of the homes that are already located on the lake, and there are a lot of them. There are a lot of homes down there, a lot of trailers, single wides, double wides, right there in your neighborhood. There's a Ham's Landing down there is full of tiny homes, homes sitting right on top of each other, as y'all are complaining about this is going to be. So I'm going to give this third reading. I'm going to vote to change the zoning. And I'm doing it right here in front of you. I'm explaining why. appreciate I appreciate you coming. I'm glad you came. I hope you won't stop here. I still hope you'll continue to come to our meetings. I hope you'll continue to participate. Thank you.
There is something that I'd like to say. I think tonight the developer has taken a lot of licks. And he's a businessman. But he's made a lot of concessions in working through this project. And he's on the wanting end, we know that. He's the one who wants to develop this. But somewhat, I feel like that some statements that have been made were not granted. And I just felt like I should say that. Now, I realize that when we want something, we are biased. That's just human nature. It is human nature. But we've been studying this for how long now? And then we had the break, of course, with the virus. But none of us take these jobs lightly. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? One question. How many residents are there in Plantation Point? Does anybody know? How many houses?
About 150,
150?
somewhere around
Okay. Well, as we are at the point in time of, let me just take this off because it's hard to talk through it. At the point in time of census going on right now, if all of us can make sure we fill those things out accurately, but you're talking about things, and I heard somebody say people traveling to other counties to shop, to go to places of, I guess, entertainment, recreation, et cetera, because Newberry County doesn't have it. Part of that's because every time when we do the census count, we don't have enough to lure the nicer places to Newberry. We need approximately 40,000, 42,000 people as so one of the numbers I've heard. Now, whether that's the magical number, I don't know. But we have not been able to get some of the venues that we would like to have because of. We're struggling right now to bring in more grocery stores. That's been an ongoing battle. And growth could potentially lead to more opportunities for people to work. It could lead to more opportunities for recreation and entertainment. I know most people don't like change. None of us like change. But sometimes change has to occur to get the future. They only do lakefront or waterfront development. But Plantation Point, when it was developed, I mean, I've lived here, Senator Cromer's lived here all his life. I don't know how many others have lived here in their entire life. But I will tell you that when Plantation Point was thought, there were a lot of the local citizens did not want Plantation Point to become an existing entity on the lake because of the same things that were being said tonight. Folks, y'all have turned out to be pretty doggone good citizens of this county, and we appreciate y'all being here. But why do we want to deny other people? I'm talking right now, thank you. But why do you want to deny somebody else the same opportunity to come to this county and enjoy what we have? That's just something I don't quite understand. One of the first classes I took in government said 20% of the people will like what you do, 20% will dislike what you do, 60% in the middle really don't give a rip what you do. And I find that to be pretty accurate in most anything that you do. I think this county has a lot to offer. I think it's very attractive to people. Anyway, with that being said, I'll stay within my 3 minutes too. All right, any other comments from council members? Mr. Stockman?
I would like to make one comment based on some other comments. This is a big difference in Plantation Point and the development that's going in now. We're looking at cluster homes. That's what this big issue is about.
Absolutely.
We're talking about cluster homes. We're not talking about nice residential properties that's going to come in here and really make the face of Newberry County look like what we want it to look like. There is a big difference in this development and what we really need here in Newberry County. That is what I'm opposing. The cluster homes, not development. I'm all for development. So, I'm done.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, I call for the question.
All right, we got a motion, we got a second. All in favor? It's Scurry, Rucker, Reeder, Kuhn, Livingston in favor. All opposed. Stockman and Kane opposed. Thank you. All right, so we don't need an executive session. Appointments. Mr. Scurry, you got an appointment?
Yes, sir. Mrs. Ann Scurry Ward.
I'm sorry?
Mrs. Ann Scurry Ward.
Okay, Miss Ann Scurry Ward appointed to County Planning Commission?
Yeah, to the
To the what? What's your appointment?
Ann Scurry Ward for the Planning Commission. All right, we have a second on that. Second by Mr. Kuhn. Any discussion? All in favor? It is unanimous. Any other appointments? All right, public comments by the sign that we've already done that. Comments or a request from the county administrator?
I've talked enough tonight.
Thank you. But thanks for your comments. Let's see, comments of council members. Mr. Scurry.
Thanks for being here. Y'all can go home and sleep happy.
Dr. Rucker?
No, I appreciate those folks who came and voiced their opinions.
Mr. Reeder?
I'd just like to give condolences to a council member in Prosperity, Mr. Gallman, on the passing of his wife. I'd like to keep his family and everyone in your thoughts and prayers.
Mr. Kane?
No, sir.
Mr. Stockman?
I have none.
Mr. Kuhn?
Yes, sir. Condolences to Mr. Forrest Swittenberg Jr.'s family. He's also from Prosperity. He's 84 years old. He passed away on the 21st. He served 2 years in the U.S. Army during the Korean War, 12 years with the South Carolina National Guard. He also served 10 years with the Sheriff's Department as a correctional officer. I'd like for us to remember him and his family tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Also in that same line of just recognizing those who we've lost recently, Mike Briggs, who was the Central SC president and all, who has been, I think, since 1997 or somewhere thereabout when all this started. He's been the leader of it up until just a couple months ago. He had cancer and anyway passed this week with cancer, and again, a large family of young girls, and well, he's got grandchildren, but anyway, just again, keep his family in your thoughts and prayers, because that's never lost when you lose the matriarch of the family. So again, he's helped with a lot of economic development across the Central Midlands of South Carolina, and a champion for economic development. With that being said, Mr. Adams, again, thank you for taking the time and reading each and every one of those out tonight so eloquently. We really appreciate it. With that, I declare the meeting adjourned.